With the explosion of the new Delta variant of COVID-19, many employers are wondering whether or not they can mandate the COVID vaccine for their employees. There are several issues associated with whether or not such a mandate would be legal. First, employers should be concerned, or were concerned, that such a mandate would violate the various federal equal employment opportunity laws, such as the Americans with Disabilities Act or Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Luckily, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or the EEOC, which is the federal agency tasked with enforcing those types of statutes, has come out and issued very clear guidance that mandatory vaccination policies from an employer do not violate those EEO laws, so long as employers offer their employees the option or ability to request accommodations for medical and or religious reasons. So that the federal EEO laws are not a bar to employer mandated vaccine policies. Second, many employers and lawyers have been concerned since the vaccines were first given emergency use authorization in December of 2020, that the EUA procedure would prohibit an employer from mandating the vaccine. This is because the statute that authorizes the EUA procedure says that anybody receiving a vaccine pursuant to an EUA has to be given the option to accept or refuse that vaccine. Recently, we've seen a number of court cases, one out of Houston and one out of Indiana, where courts have rejected that challenge by employees who are saying that they shouldn't be required to get the vaccine because it was only approved using the EUA process. We also saw a letter from the Department of Justice last week where the department says that it does not believe the EUA procedure prohibits an employer from mandating the vaccine either. So now we have guidance from the EEOC that says that mandatory vaccination policies don't violate federal EEO laws. And we also now have court cases and opinions from the Federal Department of Justice saying that the EUA procedure doesn't prohibit an employer from mandating the vaccine. So these are two of the key legal hurdles that employers have had to consider when determining whether or not to issue a mandatory vaccination policy. There are other practical considerations that employers should look into in deciding whether or not to implement such a mandatory policy, such as what type of employees they have, whether they're public facing or internal, what is the current vaccination rate or percentage of your existing employees, how are you going to implement such a policy, who is going to be responsible for monitoring it, and there are many other practical considerations as well. So in conclusion, what I would say is we've seen some of these legal hurdles be eliminated or significantly reduced, and now employers have to consider whether or not mandatory vaccine policies work for them. I would encourage you all to consult with legal counsel in making this determination and developing your policy.